Today I am building some frames for the honey supers. We are now in June, early June, and surprisingly the bramble is already in flower. Now the brambles you would expect to come into flower in July. They're already out in early June, so we're pretty much a month ahead. Now because of that, we are likely to hit the summer flow very early, because the bees will be going round all the brambles. And that is why I need to be making up more frames like this, so that the bees can draw out the comb on them and store nectar in it and turn it into honey. Do not want to miss the summer flow. Equipment for frame building is fairly basic. You need some 20mm panel pins. You can use also some smaller gimp pins and hammer and a board. Pretty much it. Some people use staple guns or electric nail guns, tackers, that kind of thing. But I don't have one, so I'm the old-fashioned manual frame construction route. To build your frame, you need the frame parts. This is the top bar. Here are the side bars. Note the groove on one side only. That is going inside your frame. Inside of your frame. And you need a couple of bottom bars. And you'll also need a sheet of foundation. This is a wax sheet. Flat pack frames come in packs and are available from suppliers like Thorns, I'm in the Beekeeper, and many other bee equipment suppliers. And you'll get your side bars and your bottom bars and your top bars, sometimes all done up as a pack together in the right number. Depends how many you buy at the same time. If you buy large quantities like 50 or 100 frames, you'll probably get them all separated out like this. To assemble your frame, start with your top bar, and it has this section here that you need to remove. Sometimes that's easy to come out, sometimes you need to run a knife along that, make sure the wood is cut through. Don't throw that away, that's an important part. Then come to your two side bars. The groove here is for the inside of your frame, as mentioned. That's where your wax foundation sheet is going to slot, so get that round the right way. Again, they may just go in with a bit of hand pressure like that, or they might need a bit of a tap with a hammer to get them to sit in properly. I think they're fairly good. Then have your frame facing you this way with the lip towards you, and take one of your bottom bars and put it in the rear slot. Again, might go in easily, might need a tap with a hammer. Okay, this time. Now it's time for the wax foundation sheet. This zigzag wired wax foundation sheet will have 2 loops on one side and will have 3 wire loops on the other. Now if you fold over the 3 wire loops along the bottom edge there, I'm going to use it that way up in the frame. So now we're going to slide in that foundation sheet, which should slide down the side slots of your frame quite easily. Sometimes you need to adjust your frame a bit there to make it fit. There we go, foundation in place. Then take that bar you put aside, the one you removed from your top bar at the beginning, and put it back in place, pressing it down against those wire loops. Right, I've now secured those loops underneath the strip of wood with the 3 short 13mm pins. Now we come to the bottom bars of the frame. Got the back one in place already. Adjust. I'm going to use the loops here of the wax foundation sheet and just bend them over that back bottom bar, because that should keep this foundation sheet out of the way as I go to put in this other bottom bar. And with a bit of luck, it should slot into place without crumpling your wax foundation sheet. You may need to ease it a bit there if it has buckled, but you're aiming for a nice flat sheet of foundation there without bowing sections. If we take a closer look at the foundation beeswax sheet in the light, holding it up to the window at the moment, you can see that it is printed or indented with zillions of little hexagons. And that is because bees build their cells in hexagons. They draw out hexagonal little chambers to raise their babies in and to store their honeys in. And if they're doing raising drone brood, they will actually draw out larger hexagons if they are building the wax themselves. If they are drawing them out on a sheet like this, they just make them longer than the other cells around them for worker brood. Now, bees have been building their comb in hexagons for millions of years, and they don't need we beekeepers to come along and give them pre-printed sheets to get going. However, if we do provide a sheet of foundation like this, not only does it have the wires in it, so when you are handling a heavy frame of honey, it's less likely, especially if you're holding it like that, it's less likely for it all to detach along the bottom and for it all to whoop out of the frame. But also it saves the bees some resources, because you're providing them with this base wax and they will build out comb from it on both sides, and you're saving them a bit of effort as well as resources. This is worker brood size hexagons on this wired foundation. You can get sheets for drone brood with larger, as I said, larger hexagons, and you can also get sheets that are not wired. Sometimes the queens don't like the wires and they don't actually lay in cells up and down these wires. And you can also get sheets of very thin wax foundation and hygiene rated, safe for consumption, and that will start your bees pulling out cut comb. Although the best cut comb is give the bees an empty frame and let them draw out the whole lot themselves. Now time for some more hammering. I am now going to use one of the 20mm panel pins and angle it down so that it secures the sidebar to the top bar there, and similarly secures the sidebar to the top bar there. Do note the shape of the sidebars here. This is a flat edge, but then it curves down in here to a thinner section. This is called a Hoffman frame, and these side bars are designed to provide the correct spacing when in place in the hive. And I can show you that more clearly once I've got these nails in. So I'm just going to bang those in. And I've already done the same on the other side. And you can see I now need to address the bottom bars because they need securing or they will ping out. And I'm going to use these smaller 13mm pins to do that, because you don't need such a long pin for these small thin bits of timber here. And we have it, one assembled honey super frame. Same process for the deep frames, for the brood boxes. They are about this big. And because of that, and they can get even heavier when the bees decide to store honey around the edges and then all their baby bees and brood in the middle, I would possibly also add another nail, which would be one going at that sort of angle. Coming back to the Hoffman frames, remember I talked about this width here. The reason you can see from the top is that when you put them together, as they would be in a super on the hive, you end up here with a pointed section touching a flux section, and same here, slightly pointed section of wood touching a flux section. That is to reduce the surface contact between the frames and hence stop the bees from making propolis and sticking everything together. If you had frames that just touched each other flat, they've got much more chance of sealing everything up solid, and it's a job to get the frames apart, which is why I use a hive tool. We'll come to that in another video, I expect. The correct frame spacing is really important. If it's too wide apart, the bees will build wide bridging comb in between. If it's just that exact space, it gives them room to build the comb out on the frame here, out to this sort of level, and still have room, a bee space, to crawl around between each frame. These 80-litre tubs, I think they were from Tesco's, are a pretty good size for storing your frames. You can get about 10 in the bottom, you get about 11 on the top second layer, and if it's a taller tub, which this isn't quite, you can get a slightly taller one as well, you could get another layer on top. A super takes 12 frames at a squeeze, or you could put 11 frames in with a dummy board, which is just literally what it says, a piece of board that will be the same shape as a frame, but it'll be a bit thinner, so it allows you to space things a bit more comfortably and less jammed in your honey supers. And being lidded, they're great because they will keep your frames dust free and away from physical and other contaminants, which is important because essentially you are getting the bees to produce a food product on it, so food hygiene considerations are very important.